What's up guys, Sam here from Freshly Squeezed Samples, and in this video I'm going to be showing you something you can do with breakdowns and pretty much any part of your song to make it more interesting. And this is what I call linear layering or linear instrumentation, and it's a way to make your typical ideas, whether it's a chord progression or melody, a lot more interesting by using different sounds and instruments to add variation and excitement. So I'm going to take you through 3 stages, and the 3 stages are the basic layout, effects and samples, and automation. This is what we're going to be making, so I'm just going to play this for you. And straight away you can see that there are 3 main elements here, 3 main instruments. So they're pretty much playing the same idea, the same chords. This is playing an arpeggio, obviously. But it just sounds a lot better than, say, if we were to use this main lead over the whole thing. So we're going to remake this, and I'm going to show you how. I'm just going to delete all of this. Delete all these. All but one. And like I say, we're going to go through the basic layout, then effects and samples, and then automation. So this main lead here, I'm basically just going to be using a Spire preset. It is from the Temple One Spire Essentials Volume 1 bank. It's called Cloudless. And I've got the cutoff at full for the moment. I'm just using a basic chord progression that I made earlier. So we just use this chord progression here. If you want to use that, you can copy the notes in and follow along. Just pause the video there, pretty straightforward. So at the moment, I've just got this, and you know, we could have this in a breakdown, and a lot of songs do. But if you want to make your production more interesting and a bit more dynamic and complex, then it's good to use this linear layering technique and use different instruments. So I'm just going to play this. And you know, at this point you sort of want to work out where you can add different instruments in, and normally you'll hear this. You'll be playing along, listening, and you'll hear other sounds sort of enter your head. And when I was playing this through, I felt that the sound could be introduced here after 2 bars. So a sound coming in here, and the sound that came to mind initially was a pad. So that's what I'm going to add in. I'm just going to use a Sylenth 1 preset. I'm using presets because this isn't a sound design tutorial and I want to save time. So I'm just going to use a pad here. We'll use, we'll use Chill Pad. And what I'm going to do is copy what used to be there down to here. And you don't have to use a pad, and you don't have to put it in that specific place, but that feels natural to me. So it's all about preference and taste. I'm just going to take all these out and make it one long note. So now I've got this. And already you can hear that it's sounding a lot more interesting. But I also want to take this section out because I feel like it does work well. But I feel a third element could make it even more interesting. So what I'm going to do is just copy this out, Control X, make a new MIDI track, and paste it in there. And I'm going to use Spire again, and this time I want a lead sound. I don't want a a chord. I want it to be a monophonic lead. So I'm going to take Tempo Inspire Essentials Volume 1. I'm going to choose the ASOT lead, which is one of my favorite presets. Now if I play this as it is, it's not going to sound that great. So what I'm going to do is come in here and just move some of these notes around to make it an arpeggio. So basically I'm going to go delete a few of these, place this out. It's sounding pretty awesome. It's there's 3 elements in there. I'm just going to copy and paste this out. But the second time around, I actually want to keep that lead going. Not in this part, but over the pad. And that can kind of work because it's a pluck lead. It's got a different rhythm to a pad, which is just one long sustained note. So they can actually be laid over the top of each other. But in this first section, I do want them to be separate, just to add that variation. So now that that's done, I'm just going to play through. And by itself, that doesn't sound too bad, but it can be a lot better. So we're going to add some effects and samples just to make it a little bit more interesting and flow a little better. And then we're going to add some automation to clean it up. So first thing I'm going to add is a clap before the pad just to make it, just to give it a lead in. So I'm going to insert an audio track. I'm going to pick a clap. This one will do. I'm just going to add a touch of reverb on here. Turn the volume down a bit. And we can also have this reversing in. So copy that out and reverse it. And it just adds a little bit of tension, which is nice. And we can put this in the second section as well. And if you wanted to, you could put it before the ASOT lead. But I'd rather not do that. And I want another sample right at the beginning of each 8 bars. So I'll have a reverb kick in there. I'll just use number 1, that's fine. Again, just adding that tension. And I also want a kick on this last ASOT lead. Sort of a rhythmic kick, not a 4 on the floor. I'll show you what I mean. So, grab a kick sample. So nice and punchy. What I'm going to do is just have this hit on, let's say, this. Turn the volume down a bit. You don't have to use a kick sample for that. You can use a snare, you can use anything, but it's just adding another rhythmic component to the whole section. And finally, I want to add something that will lead into each section, make it sound a little more interesting. So I'm going to add a crash cymbal, but I'm going to actually reverse it. So take this, reverse, and add a touch of reverb so it flows well. Actually, we'll put that on. We'll put that on another audio track because I don't want that reverb on the kick. Cool. And actually, we'll have this every 4 bars. Now, with effects and samples, you can add a lot more than just this. I'm keeping it simple. You can add atmosphere, you can add, risers, uplifters, all that kind of stuff to make it flow better. So don't feel limited by just adding what I've added here. Experiment, see what sounds good, and so on. Now, this is sounding a bit better. It's flowing quite well, but we can make it flow better, and that's where automation comes in. So I'm just going to rename these quickly to keep everything organized. Clap, verb kick, rhythm kick, and cymbal. Cool. So renamed all that. Now automation this is where you can be the most creative and make it a little more complex. So I don't want this main lead to be open all the time. At the start, I definitely want it open. I feel like it would create the best impact. For example, if this is in a breakdown, we might have a pad and piano, a soft dreamy part leading up, and then a huge big trance lead coming in. So I want to keep that open. But in your case, you might not. You might want it to slowly enter in as a pluck. However, I do want it to sort of close off before this pad comes in. So I'm going to automate a little curve down here. So we get this. In fact, it could be a little bit stronger. I want this to be open as well. But over here, I want it to stay closed, slowly opening up. That sounds pretty good, and obviously you could add more automation than just the filter cutoff, but I'm going to keep it simple there. With the pad, I want to add a little bit of filter cutoff automation, and this is pretty much all I'm going to be adding for this tutorial. So I don't want to add too much because, as you can hear, this pad actually opens a little bit by itself. But I want to add a little flick up here. So it leads into the open chord lead nicely. So if I solo that, it's got a little flick at the end, and it doesn't sound that great by itself, but when this chord lead follows it, it sounds really nice. So I'm just going to copy that out. Put over here. And what else do I want? I want some filter cutoff on this ASOT lead. So I'm going to click on this. And in the first section, we'll have it just opening up like this. And then we'll have it full on the second section. So that's pretty basic automation, and obviously we could automate these effects as well. But I like to keep it simple. In your own production, obviously, spend some time on automation and make it flow as good as possible. But now you should have a basic understanding of how you can use multiple instruments in a breakdown to make it more interesting and exciting. And this can be applied to any genre. Don't just think that it's a trance thing. It's definitely not. Though it does work well in trance. If you make dubstep, if you make even house, deep house, you can use this technique. So that's it for this tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. Otherwise, have fun producing.